When you've spent over a decade building a life with someone, you start to believe that loyalty is unshakable. That was my mistake. I thought love was enough to hold everything together. The late nights, the sacrifices, the quiet dreams we built between bills and bedtime stories. My name is Daniel, and for 12 years I believed my wife Olivia was my partner in every sense of the word. We weren't perfect, but we had something real, or so I thought. Olivia was always ambitious. She loved nice things, beautiful places, and the idea of being admired. I never judged her for that. I worked hard in construction management, putting in extra hours trying to give her the comfort she craved. We had 2 kids, Mason 10 and Lily 7, who were my entire world. I used to tell people that family was my purpose. I meant it. Every long shift, every calloused hand, every sleepless night was for them. But slowly I started noticing how she drifted away from us. It began subtly. Fewer family dinners, more work events. Late-night texts she said were from clients. New dresses showing up that I hadn't seen before. Perfumes too expensive for what our budget allowed. When I asked her, she'd roll her eyes. Daniel, not everything's a conspiracy. I'm just trying to enjoy life a little. I wanted to believe her. I really did. But the woman who once spent Sunday mornings baking pancakes with our kids now spent weekends at networking retreats. She started speaking about success like it was a religion, one that didn't include me anymore. The night everything changed, she was getting ready for yet another business dinner. She wore a silk dress I'd never seen and heels that looked straight out of a magazine. I told her she looked beautiful, but my voice cracked halfway through. She barely met my eyes in the mirror. Daniel, she said, adjusting her earring, I wish you'd understand. You're too comfortable with mediocrity. You don't want more out of life. I can't live like that forever. I remember staring at her reflection, the woman I'd loved since college, and realizing she didn't see a husband anymore. She saw a weight holding her down. That night she didn't come home. The next morning Mason asked where Mom was. I said she had to stay late for work. But when she came back 3 days later smelling like a hotel lobby, I knew. She hadn't chosen her career. She'd chosen someone else. She walked into the house like nothing had happened. Sunglasses on, luggage in hand, humming some tune under her breath. The kids ran to her excited and she smiled, hugging them like she hadn't been gone for days without a single call. I stood in the doorway silent. When her eyes finally met mine, there was a flicker of guilt, but only for a second. Then came the usual calm confidence, the kind she wore like armor. Don't look at me like that, she said, setting her bag down. It was just a trip. Business. I asked, my voice low. She shrugged. Does it matter? That was when I knew she didn't respect me anymore. Respect doesn't vanish overnight, it erodes. One small lie at a time, one dismissive comment after another. And when there's nothing left, love becomes an illusion we pretend to keep alive for the kids. Over the next few weeks, I became an observer in my own home. Olivia started dressing differently, staying out later, always glued to her phone. When I asked, she accused me of being insecure. Daniel, I can't breathe with you watching me all the time, she'd say. You're making this marriage unbearable. But I wasn't imagining it. Late one night after she fell asleep on the couch, her phone buzzed. I shouldn't have looked, but I did. A message flashed across the screen. Room 409. Same time tomorrow. My heart sank. The name attached to it was a man I'd met once, her client, Richard. A real estate investor. Charming. Wealthy. The kind of man who wore confidence like a cologne. I confronted her the next morning. She didn't deny it. She didn't even try. She just said, Daniel, you can't give me the life I want. Richard understands me. He makes me feel alive. I'll never forget that line. He makes me feel alive. Like our years together, our children, our memories were dead things. That evening, I packed a small bag and took the kids to my brother's house. Olivia didn't stop me. She didn't even ask where we were going. That silence told me everything I needed to know. A few days later, her lawyer called. She wanted an amicable separation. She wanted freedom. And she wanted the house. That's when something inside me changed. I had spent years avoiding conflict, choosing peace over pride. But peace means nothing when it's built on your own silence. So I answered, not with tears or pleading, but with the courts. Filing the papers was easier than I thought it would be. I'd always imagined divorce as this messy, emotional battlefield, but in reality it was cold, procedural. Just signatures and dates. Facts and figures. I listed everything she had done, every transaction, every receipt from her business trips. Being married to someone who didn't know how to cover her tracks made the legal process cleaner than I expected. She had left digital footprints everywhere. Hotel bookings, credit card statements, and even photos she forgot to delete from the cloud. When her lawyer received the evidence packet, I could almost hear the panic through the phone. A day later, Olivia called me for the first time in weeks. "Daniel, can we talk?" she said softly. I agreed to meet her, not because I wanted to, but because part of me needed closure. We sat across from each other at the same cafe where we'd had our first date. Only this time there was no laughter, no warmth. Just two people sitting in the ashes of what used to be love. "I made a mistake," she whispered. "Richard isn't who I thought he was. He's married." I didn't know. I took a sip of coffee and said nothing. "Can't we just start over?" she pleaded. "For the kids." That was the moment I realized she didn't miss me. She missed the comfort, the security, the home I built. She didn't want a husband. She wanted a safety net. I looked her straight in the eye and said, "You chose luxury nights over loyalty, Olivia. Now live with what that choice costs." Her face fell. Tears came next. But I had nothing left to give her. Not sympathy, not forgiveness, not another chance. Months passed. The divorce was finalized. I kept custody of the kids and the house. She moved into a small apartment downtown, closer to her new life. Every now and then, she'd call to speak with the children, her voice quieter now, almost fragile. And me? I rebuilt. Slowly. I stopped trying to understand why people trade real love for temporary thrills. Some lessons don't need explanations, they just need distance. Sometimes I still drive past the hotel where she used to meet him. The lights are always on, the parking lot full. I glance once, then keep driving. Because the truth is, she didn't just betray me. She freed me. And when she said, "Go home if you're jealous," I did. Only this time it was a home without her. And that made all the difference.